Hi, this is Mrs. Kalinicki. Sorry I can't be there today. Some of you are on the field trip, some of you are not. But we're going to take a quiz today, so I just wanted to go over a few things. Since we already did adding and subtracting rational numbers yesterday, for your quiz today, you are going to have to be able to do these three things. Compare and order rational numbers, add and subtract word problems, and add and subtract rational numbers on your calculator. So let's get started and start reviewing. Number 1, -7 3/10 plus -3 6/10. How did you know before the answer? How did you know the answer was going to be negative before you calculated the answer? So how am I going to know that this is a negative number? It is a negative answer, but how do I know it's negative? I know it's negative because when I add negative numbers together, I will get a negative number. So my answer would say something about both numbers are negative when adding you keep the same sign. So when I add these two same signs, I add and I keep the sign. So both of the numbers are negative, and when I add, I keep the sign if they have the same sign. So this is negative, this is negative. 7 negatives plus 3 negatives makes about 10 negatives. Okay, next question says put the following in order from least to greatest. So just like our last unit, we have to first make them all look alike first, and right now they don't. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to change all of my fractions into decimals. So I'm grabbing my calculator and I'm putting 4 ABC5 second PRB, and that will tell me what decimal this is, and this is 8/10. Now I also have -1 6/10, and then I have to change -4/3 into a decimal also. So -4 ABC3 second PRB, and I get -1.1 3/10, but the 3/10 is actually going to be repeating. So I'm going to grab my little bar over here, my bar notation, and make that 3 repeat. The last one I have to do is 2/3. So 2 ABC3 second PRB. 2/3 becomes 6/10, also repeating. See if I could copy it, but I can't. Alright, so I'm going to reach over here for my bar. Alright, now I got to put them in order. So the first one, that is the lowest number. Now remember, we have negatives also, so we got to be careful with those. So if I have a negative number, well, this is really big. Okay, that's better. If I have a negative number, negative numbers are going to go higher as they go to the left, which really means that that's a really high negative number, right? So I'm just going to draw this little number line here to kind of keep you reminding. I don't know if you hear Duke barking. He's barking about something. Quiet, you. Okay, so remember, a negative high number will actually be low. So what is the highest negative number? There's two negative numbers. And from those two, it appears that, right here are my two negative numbers, it appears that -1.6, -1 6/10 is actually going to be the lowest number that I have here. So I'm going to start with that one, -1 6/10. Now, cross that guy off. I continue on. Again, negative numbers are going to be smaller, so I'm going to write -1 3/10. Ooh, repeating. I didn't write that. What am I saying? I don't write it the way I do it. I write it the way it was given to me. So I'm going to write it the way it was given to me, which is -4/3. Okay, that one's done. Check. Next one. I have three decimals. 8/10, 9/10, and 6/10 repeating. Now I'm going in positive order, so I want the lowest one first. The lowest one is going to be 6/10 repeating, which is 2/3. Ooh, sorry. I think my smartboard's becoming dumb. There we go. Next one, between 9/10 and 8/10 is going to be 8/10, but it was written as 4/5. And finally, 9/10. I don't know why my decimals are going so big. Very weird. Sorry about that. Alright, so -1 and 6/10, -4/3, 2/3, 4/5, and 9/10 in that order, from least to greatest. No, I read it wrong. You've been reading it wrong with me. It actually says from greatest to least. Oh man. Alright, well that just means that this is backwards. So then this would be 9/10 would be the greatest, then 4/5, then 2/3, then -4/3, and then -1 6/10. Sorry guys, you might have to erase that and rewrite it backwards. Or just write greatest up here and least over here, so at least I know what you're doing. Sorry, I should have read the directions more carefully. Well, made a mistake, but my brain grew, so hope your brain grew with me. Alright, let's move on to the next questions. Number 3, solve using adding or subtracting and show all work. You spent 3 2/3 hours hiking and an additional 3/4 of an hour to rest. How much time did you spend hiking and resting? Well, not a lot of clue words going on here, but it's how much time did I spend doing both of these activities, right? And we've talked about the word both, and it's even on our keywords chart, which is on page 14 of your notebooks. So if I'm doing both things, I'm going to be adding. So I'm going to add these two numbers together. 3 2/3 plus 3/4. Let's see if my calculator can do that. I don't have a very good one with me, so we'll see. 3 2/3 plus 3/4. Not too bad. Oh, my calculator worked. I found a fraction button on it. 4 5/12. And of course I'm going to label it. How much time? How much time was hours? I'll abbreviate for you. Hours, HRS. Alright, next word problem, part of the word problem says, how much more time did you spend hiking than resting? Ah, there's definitely a clue word there, and that tells me to do subtraction. It's not how much, but it's how much more. That's the clue word. The more is very important. How much more. Not just how much, because remember, how much is not a clue word for anything. But the how much more, very important. How much more. So I'm comparing, in order, hiking and then resting. So I spent 3 2/3 hours hiking, but I'm comparing that to resting. I didn't do a lot of resting, but I want to see how much more hiking I did. So again, in my calculator, 3 ABC2 ABC3 minus 3 ABC4. Final answer, 2 11/12. Again, hours, HRS. The rest of this sheet is going to be pretty simple. The only one I do want to go over with you is this one, the rewriting as an addition problem. But if you want, just pause the video for right now, do these questions, and come back when you're ready to go over the answers. Okay, so you're back, which means you took a minute to do these yourself. So that's great. Let's get started. In your calculator, you should type 8 3600 minus -4 825 thousandths, and you should have gotten 13 185 thousandths. Now, how do you rewrite this problem as an adding problem? We add the opposite. So 8 3600 should stay. Instead of a subtraction sign, you should have a adding sign. And instead of -4 825 thousandths, you should have +4 8 825 thousandths. And that should get you the same answer. So far, so good. Okay, next one. I'm going to compare these two rational numbers. I can't do it until they look the same. So in order to do that, I'm going to put -6 and 7/8 in my calculator, and I want to make that a decimal. So I really just need to make the 7/8 part a decimal, because I know what 6 as a whole number is going to be. So I literally can leave the -6 alone. I'll make it blue. I can leave the -6 alone. I just want to know what 7/8 is. So 7/8, 7 ABC 8, PRB, right second PRB, will get you decimal point 875, which is 6 and 875 thousandths. In order to compare them, I should probably have equal numbers of decimal places. This bar is telling me that the 8 is going to repeat. So in these next two places that I want to make even with the other one, because this one has 3, I'm going to also put 8s, because that bar is telling me the 8s are repeating. So now I look at the numbers, and it looks like this one is bigger, correct? Yeah, 888, bigger than 875. But wait, we're talking about negative numbers. And if you remember from the last talking about comparing, when I have a large negative number, it's actually smaller than a smaller negative number. So that means that this guy is actually smaller. So negatives are like backwards. So I have to write a greater than sign. So be careful with that, especially on your quiz in a few minutes. You hear Duke now? He's much closer now. Duke, quiet. All right, the last two you should have just been able to put in your calculator. This one should have gotten you -2 and 1/8. Luckily, we're almost done with the video, so he can stop barking. And the other one, -2 and 3/4 minus -1 and 1/2 gets you -1 and 1/4. I hope you reviewed well. It's just about that time. It is quiz time. So pause the video, hand out the quizzes. You should have about 20 minutes to work on it. If you need extra time, make sure you write your academic support teacher's name on the top, and we will make sure you get it to finish it up in academic support today. Hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you soon. Bye.